we're going to look at is key issues with talent development. There's often emphasis on the psychological behaviour skills in sport talent identification and development systems. Talent ID and development initiatives have been skewed toward the physical skills and performance. Yet kind of key research has shown that psychological skills such as motivation, commitment, mental toughness are crucial and can predict elite status, and just as important as those physical skills. So a lot of kind of the talent development is focused on the technical, tactical side of it, rather than also developing the mental, psychosocial skills that are needed to become that elite performer. A key example of this is a Danish soccer academy known for producing expert players, and they admit in selecting athletes who have a little less talent but have the mental ability to work very hard over hugely talented athletes who do not work hard, because ultimately, it takes effort and commitment and a good work ethic to be that elite performer, and unless you've got that mentality, you're not going to get there. Young athletes will succeed no matter what level of talent, only if they possess the attitude and the mental skills required for the development of their talent. Coaches subsequently assess mental skills in selecting team members, but psychological assessments are underused in talent identification and development initiatives. So can you as a coach, or can you think of ways in which you could look at developing those psychological skills within your athletes and performers? Other issues with talent identification and development is pigeonholing players, that they have it or they don't have it, because at that point in time we may be pigeonholing players at age 10, but they may then be that player that develops in a later stage. Clubs have talent ID meetings to discuss what they're looking for. Young players who have acceptable levels of skills are being judged, and coaches and scouts have no actual idea potentially what the young player has done to get to that level. So talent development is understanding how is that performer at age 13, 14 become that talented performer, and that process of understanding that as a coach and a scout is crucial, because then we can put measures in place to ensure that talented athlete or potential, that talent pool can be developed based on the things we've learned from previous performers. Top clubs are kind of recruiting 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds claiming they're talented youngsters. How can you really tell that they're talented at that age? There's clearly growth, maturation, psychological, emotional, lots of other things being developed during that period, right through up into teenage years. So, identifying talent at that young age, we need to be keeping our talent pools as big as we can, because we don't know who the talented athletes are. So the crucial point is about focusing on creating multiple pathways. The key to think about multiple pathways is that children can choose to follow in developing their personal talents. Sport New Zealand has developed a talent development framework which attempts to provide alternative pathways for children to reach their individual potential. The first objective is to develop fundamental skills, basic sport skills, to build expertise and confidence in all children. The children follow either their participation or high performance pathway. The participation pathway provides resources and opportunities retaining kids in recreational sport and activities throughout their teenage years. The high performance pathway targets highly skilled and motivated children who wish to develop expertise and pursue that elite status. The physiological basis of Sport New Zealand's talent development framework is the idea that talent is dynamic and not easily predicted, and that gifted athletes can emerge at any stage of their development. So this is very similar to the Australian Institute of Sport, as recognised both participation pathway and a talent pathway, and a progressive programme that focuses on building skills in children with some ongoing elite careers, while others may maintain active in sport. So it's having that holistic approach. So we looked at the 3DAD model, but also looking at the Australian model where children can exit and enter that talent pool, and keeping our, as I've said throughout this kind of presentation and this session, is making sure we have a large talent pool, because ultimately we're going to have more people at the top if we keep our pool bigger. Whereas if we really focus our attention on 15 athletes, then that 15 is going to dwindle down into a lot smaller number than if we target 100 athletes. Other issues to consider in this area of talent development is also the support systems that go alongside it, whether this is the coaches, the players, the environment, and the support mechanisms in place. So I'm going to focus on one area of this to begin with. In developing talent, we need to look beyond the players, so creating the right environment. So making sure we have highly qualified, knowledgeable coaches develop talent across all levels, from the youth right through to adulthood. An example of this is the FA developing world-class coaches and players 2008, their kind of key target. So the 4-year process of increasing the number of quality coaches in England, this ultimately is the kind of development of the youth modules, developing new methods and approaches to coaching and development, encouraging the coaches to look at the environment, the practice and the player to foster development. So it's not just around delivering a session, it's about how we can ensure as a coach player development. Focusing on the FA's kind of framework and ideas, it's coaching based on the player or person, developing practices, how you can mould a session around players, developing players, challenging them, developing players that take responsibility, problem solve and interact with each other. And also as coaches, working with other parents, teachers, and working together to this holistic player development pathway. So it's about providing the right opportunities, the right facilities, the right training and the right mindset to be successful. Unless we have these support mechanisms around that talented performer, then they're not going to succeed and be that expertise at least, or reach their full potential. Based on this talent development, there's an example from Germany where the dominant player in men's world soccer, they've been a dominant... can't speak. An example of this is Germany, and they've been a dominant player in men's world soccer for almost 50 years. But by the late 1990s, the traditional brilliance was lacking, with international results becoming mediocre. To remedy this, Germany created a new grass youth soccer talent development system that was the envy of most other national or nations across the world. Across the country, 121 national talent development centres were built for training of 10 to 17-year-olds players. Each had 2 full-time coaches, in addition to all 36 professional clubs in the Bundesliga. The Professional Soccer League in Germany were required to build youth academies, and in 2012, 36 Bundesliga clubs spent a combined 100 million on youth development, more than any other professional sporting league in the world. Germany National Soccer Association paid particular attention to identifying and developing talent in the very young, setting up mobile coaching units travelling across the country to visit schools, clubs, and advising local clubs on training methods for youth. The coaching philosophy is to develop technical ability, starting by having athletes play four-a-side in small pitches to encourage individual skills. The National Association director states that we have a wide net in Germany, and it's virtually impossible for a talent to slip through the cracks. The result has been the youngest and the most consistent successful national soccer team in the world, a team that won the World Cup in 2014. The National Talent Development Programme feeds the Bundesliga clubs with more than half of their squad members. Germany provides a prototypical model for how professional and national sport organisations can develop talent by a systematic grassroots approach. So if you're interested in this area, then I would definitely look at Germany's infrastructure and spend a little bit more time reading around this area in terms of what they've done to develop talent within Germany, and it clearly has had its success rate. And again, on the key points I've kind of used throughout this session is around increasing the talent pool, and that's what this method has basically done.